Hello everyone, and welcome to Tasker's Barbecue Supply. I'm Steven. With the holiday season rolling around, we thought what better time to give you a spin on your traditional Thanksgiving turkey. We're going to show you how to smoke a turkey. If you're new to the channel, please make sure you subscribe, give us a thumbs up on this video, and please, if you have any comments or questions, drop them below. We'll try to answer them as soon as possible. With Thanksgiving coming around, there's no better way to wow your friends or impress your family than to smoke your turkey for Thanksgiving or Christmas. You're going to find that the flavors are unbelievable, and it's going to be so much more tender and juicy than when you do it in the oven. Now, of course, we're going to be using a pellet grill. There are other options to this. If you have a traditional stick burner, if you have an electric or a propane smoker, they're all great options. The reason we enjoy doing it on a pellet smoker, especially one that has Wi-Fi and PID controller system, just like our Green Mountain Prime series, is that we can put our temperature probes in, we can monitor the temperature of the turkey and the temperatures of the grill all from inside. If we need to change anything or we do want to check on it, we can simply walk out and do so. We will a few times throughout the cook, but we don't have to monitor it closely. The nice thing about that, we can spend time with family and friends inside. We can enjoy our day. And I'm sure, like most people, you have other things to be prepping up during your time cooking your turkey. It also frees up a lot of space in the oven, so you can cook other dishes without having the turkey in the way. Now, if you don't have to cook any other dishes, that cuts down a lot on the heat in the kitchen too. So it's really nice having all the cooking done outside, and you don't have to sit there and baby it all day long. Now, smoking a turkey isn't as simple as cleaning the turkey up, prepping it, and throwing it on the grill. Sure, if you're short for time, that's an option. You can just season it up the way you like. I do strongly suggest you at least inject it with some type of Creole butter or just melted butter to keep a lot of juices inside, and then you can throw it on the grill. But if you have the time, it is much better to brine your turkey. And that's what we're going to show you how to do right now. Now we're starting off with an 18-pound turkey. Our turkey was a Butterball, fresh, all-natural turkey. So it has no injections, no hormones, and it has not been brined. If you're able to get a fresh turkey from your local butcher, that's the best way to go. Unfortunately, we don't have that around here, but we did pick up this fresh, all-natural turkey. It was frozen. The way to thaw a turkey properly is you do want to put it in the refrigerator for at least a few days. If you don't have that much time, thaw it in some cold water, but make sure you monitor the temperatures. Do not leave your turkey sitting out on the counter. That is just going to be a bad scenario once you cook that turkey. So, we got ours all thawed up. We're going to show you how to get it in a brine. Alright, we have our turkey all cleaned up here. We've checked it over for any excess quills, got it all cleaned up with some cold water, and it's ready to go. There's very little trim work with a turkey. Basically all you have to do is make sure you get the neck and the gizzards out, and then trim any excess skin, any type of fat, any type of that stuff off. We trimmed a few things off. It's pretty well ready to go. So the first step in this is we're going to pack the internal cavity with oranges. You can use other fruits if you want to. I prefer oranges just because the citrus flavor gets into the meat and it provides a really good flavor. The other thing that does for us is when we put this in our brine, it's going to take up a lot of space, so that's less liquid that we have to put in there to cover the whole turkey. You can simply cut these oranges in half. You can quarter them, do whatever you want. Some people even just slice them into thin slices and pack down in there. I prefer just to quarter mine, so we're going to quarter these up and stuff them in the bird. Now I've got 5 of them here. Usually it takes anywhere from 4 to 6, depending on the size of your oranges and the size of your turkey. We've got enough here, so let's cut a few of them up, start getting them packed in there, and see what we need. Then we're just going to simply take our oranges, and we're just going to quarter them. And then we're just going to start packing these down in the cavity of the turkey. Alright, we were able to get about 4 oranges inside the cavity of the turkey. So it's all packed up. We're ready to get this in the bucket and get the brine on it. Alright, before we get this turkey in the brine, I'm going to show you the ingredients and tell you a little bit about how we made our brine. Now I will show the ingredients list here, that way if you want to take a screenshot of it, you have it. The first thing we're going to start with is we always start with a gallon of apple cider. Now I put 3/4 of that gallon in a pot and I save 1/4 of it back for later. Then I'm going to add a cup of just kosher salt, and then I add 1/4 cup of Killer Hogs AP rub. The reason I add it is, again, it has some salt in it, but it's also got some coarse ground pepper, it's got some garlic, it's got some parsley, and it just gives it some really good flavor. If you don't have any of that, just substitute for another 1/4 cup of kosher salt, and maybe if you want to add a little bit of cracked black pepper, something like that, to give it a little bit extra flavor, that'd be fine. The other thing you're going to add is you're going to add 1.25 cups of brown sugar. Now you can use dark or light. We like to use dark brown sugar. You're going to put all that in a pot and start getting it heated up. Start dissolving that sugar and that salt. You're also going to put in about 2 tablespoons of honey. You're going to toss in 3 bay leaves, and I toss in 3 sprigs of rosemary. Now I use fresh sprigs of rosemary for the simple fact that it's not rehydrating using the brine. You actually have a fresh sprig that's going to give you flavors of rosemary into your brine. So I like to use fresh. You're just going to bring that up to a boil until you basically get everything dissolved. If you are using some of the AP rub, you will have a little bit that won't dissolve, obviously your pepper and things, but you just want to make sure your salt, your sugar, and everything is dissolved. You're then going to take that off the heat. You're going to set it off to cool. And a lot of times what I do is I take my other 1/4 gallon that I saved back of my apple cider and I add to that and then toss a little bit of ice in it. That's going to speed up the cooling process just a little bit. Now it's very important you do not put hot brine over top of your turkey. That's going to cause the temperatures in this turkey to rise, and that's not what we want. So you have to make sure your brine is cooled down. Once you get it cooled down, we're just going to put it in a bucket or a cooler. Now, we like to use a bucket for the simple fact that I can put this in a 5-gallon bucket, I can fill it up with my brine, my water, and my ice, and I can put it in our cooler or in our refrigerator in our garage. That way I don't have to worry about the temperatures. It can sit for its 24 hours and it's going to stay at the proper temperature. If you don't have that readily available, you can use a cooler. 2 ways you can do it. You can just stick it down in the cooler. You do want to make sure you sanitize your cooler very well first. We always take our buckets, we clean them out hot soapy water, sanitize them with bleach. You want to make sure it's nice and clean. You can put it down in there, put your brine over it, put your water over it, and put some ice on it. You want to make sure you keep good ice on that and keep the temperatures down. The other option is, which is a little bit easier if you're using a cooler, Ziploc makes some great big bags. And you can set that down in a cooler. You can put your turkey in it, put your brine and some water in it, and then zip that up and seal it, and then put your ice around it. You don't have to sanitize your cooler. You're not going to get the cooler all nasty, and you can keep ice a little bit better on it and keep your temperatures real low. So that's a couple options for you. We like to just use a bucket because we can set it right in our refrigerator and we don't have to worry about it. So we're going to show you how to get it in the brine. Alright everyone, we have our bucket here, we have it all sanitized and ready to go. We have our turkey that's filled up with our oranges, and we have our brine that's been cooled down. Now like I said, it's basically a gallon of apple cider, our brown sugar, our salt, our seasonings, and a little bit of bay leaves, rosemary, a little bit of honey. So we're going to get this turkey in here. We're going to pour our cool brine over top of it. The space that's needed, we're just going to fill with cold water. So it will dilute it a little bit, but that's what you want. You do have to completely submerge this turkey, especially if you're not using a Ziploc bag. If you're just putting it in a cooler, or if you're just putting it in a bucket and putting it in a refrigerator, you do have to make sure that that turkey is completely submerged, not only to get the flavors everywhere in it, but to keep it safe and keep the temperatures where you want them. So let's put our turkey down in. And you're just going to set it right down in the bucket. And I will pin the legs in just so they stay in place. And then all we're going to do is we're going to pour our brine directly over top of it. And you want to make sure you pour down in the cavity. Make sure you get everywhere you can. Doesn't really matter where this rosemary ends up. The flavors will get in there no matter what. Alright, and there's our gallon of brine. Now our gallon of brine has brought us up to about this level here. We're a little over halfway up the turkey. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some cold water and I'm going to fill it the rest of the way up until it does completely cover the turkey. Alright, now we get some cold water. We're going to fill this the rest of the way up. And again, all we're looking to do is completely cover this turkey. So now we have our turkey completely covered. At this point, what we're going to do is we're going to pack some ice down in here. You don't have to pack a ton of it, but you want to get some ice in there to make sure that liquid gets cool quickly. We're going to put this right in the refrigerator. We're going to let it sit for 24 hours, and then we'll be back and we'll show you how to get it smoked up. Alright, welcome back everybody. It's been 24 hours since we put our turkey in the brine yesterday. We pulled it out and just rinsed it down with cold water to get everything off the outside and down inside the cavity. We pulled all the oranges out and disposed of them. We just patted it down dry and then we set it on a rack for a little while to air dry. So at this point what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get it seasoned up before we stuff it. So the easiest way to keep this skin nice and crispy and be able to have a good bite through is to get it that nice air dry, and then you're going to cover it with some cooking oil. You can use butter, but it's just as easy to use Pam. Just spray it over and then put your seasoning on. So we're just going to coat it down with some Pam. Now all we have to do with this is just give it a nice coating over the whole exterior of it. Make sure to get all that skin, get a good covering on it. Spin it around here and get this side. And we're going to flip it over. Do the same thing on the bottom side. And you'll notice I've tucked the wings up underneath, and that just helps for a little bit more even cooking, not only on the wings but also on the breast, because you don't have the wing tips in the way. It keeps from the tips of the wings getting too burnt up. Not that you really eat them, but it's just a little bit better for presentation. So now we've got a good coat of Pam over the top of this. We're going to get our seasoning on it. Today we're going to be using Constitution from Frag Out Flavor. It's a nice sweet and smoky barbecue flavor. It's not overbearing on the spices and it's not too sweet. And I think that's what's going to give it a good flavor on this turkey. So we're just going to get a light coating on this bottom. Alright, now we're just going to get this flipped back over. We're going to season our top side. Alright, now that we've got a good coating of seasoning all over top of our turkey, we're about ready to stuff this. Now I'm going to be leaving this in the pan just for the simple reason that I can catch all the juices down in the bottom of this pan, and I can rebase it over top of the turkey and over top of the stuffing. You don't have to use a pan if you don't want to. I like it, and I also like it for when we go to tint this later. Once the seasoning and the skin get to the color we want, we're going to put a little bit of tinfoil over this to keep the skin from getting too dark. That pan kind of helps because it doesn't let that heat come up underneath too much and start burning the bottom of the skin, anything like that. So let's get this bird stuffed up and it'll be ready for the grill. Alright, now it's time to get the stuffing in this turkey. So what we've done here is we've just taken some Pepperidge Farm pre-packaged cubes of bread. It saves a little bit of time and energy for making our own cubed bread here for stuffing. So we've just taken about a bag and a half of that. We've added in a pound of country sausage that we browned up. And then we took 1 medium white onion. We took about a cup of chopped celery and 1 cubed up Granny Smith apple. And we put those in a skillet with about a half a stick of butter. Not to really caramelize it, but just soften everything up a little bit and get a little bit of butter in it for flavor. That way it cooks a little bit more evenly and we don't have any hard chunks. On top of that, we added a little bit of chopped up Italian herbs. And then we just put in our normal chicken broth to get everything a little bit moist. And it's ready to go. Now this recipe is a little bit of a twist on the one Malcolm Reed does. We watched his video and we thought it was really great. The seasoning and everything he uses on his. So we decided to put a little twist on it. But we're going to get it in the bird and get it ready to go. Alright, so I find the easiest way to do this is just put a glove on and use your hand. So we're going to get all this stuffing down inside here. And we want to pack that cavity as full as possible. That's going to help with cooking this bird because it's going to give some mass inside of it to keep the heat in. So that helps with a nice even cooking. You can go without it if you want to. A lot of people like to butterfly their turkey, just like you do on a chicken. That will speed up the cooking time a little bit, but it doesn't give you that great flavorful stuffing that you get from inside of a turkey. Alright, now that we've got our stuffing in this bird, we're going to pin it up. Now we got lucky and ours still has a nice flap of skin back here. So what we're going to do is we're going to pin both of these legs in. Just like that. And what that's going to do is that's going to keep our legs in, that's going to keep the stuffing in and keep everything nice and tight in there so it's going to cook nice and evenly. So we're going to get this on the grill and we'll meet you outside. We're back, everyone. We're out at our Rectech Bull 700 and we got it running at 300 degrees with some Cookinpellets Perfect Mix. That Perfect Mix is great for turkeys because it gives it a nice rich flavor, but it's not overpowering. So that's what is nice when you get into things like turkey, any type of poultry. If you don't want something that's too overbearing like hickory, but you don't want something that's not as flavorful when it comes to poultry as maybe apple or some of the really light woods, Perfect Mix comes into play because it's right in that in-between area. So, like I've said before, this is going to work with just about any type of smoker you want, but what's nice about this is once we get it put on the grill, we're going to put our temperature probes in, be able to watch our temperatures from inside, and we don't have to sit out here and monitor it. So we're going to go ahead and get this on the grill. And I'm going to be putting the breast side toward the right because it is a little bit hotter side of our grill. So I'm going to be putting that toward the hotter side for right now. We'll kind of keep an eye on it and we might spin it about halfway through just to get some good even cooking on it. This is pretty well all we have to do to the turkey. Now we're just going to put our temperature probes in. We're going to run one probe right down into the white meat. And then we're going to put one right here into the thigh of the dark meat. That way we can kind of monitor our dark meat temperatures also. And that's pretty well it. We're good to go. So we're going to get this shut up. And we're just going to sit inside, watch our temperatures. We'll be back out in a little bit to spray a little bit more cooking oil on it just to keep the skin nice and crispy. And then like I said, once we get to the color and the feel that we like, then we'll go ahead and tan it with our foil. and finish out our cooking process. So we'll see you back in a little bit. Welcome back. Now, our turkey's been on for about 2 hours now. Our internal temp in the dark meat is running about 137, and we're at 123 in the white meat. So we're coming along pretty good. We do want to keep watching our internal temperatures. We're looking for the 175 in the dark meat and 165 in the white meat. Now, that's a baseline. If you want to go a little bit more, just to be extra sure that everything's done all the way through, you can take your white meat up to about the 170 mark and your dark meat to the 180. It's not going to hurt any. It's still going to be plenty tender and very juicy. You don't want to go much above that because that's when you're going to start drying the meat out. But we've been coming out about every 30 to 40 minutes and spritzing it down with some cooking oil. What that's doing is that's keeping our skin nice and light and crispy, and it's going to be a really nice bite. It's not going to be real gummy. It's still pretty nice color. It's a nice golden colors, so we're not ready to tin anything yet, and you might not need to. It's one of those things that's an option. It kind of depends on your turkey, the seasoning you use, and how much cooking oil you use. Sometimes we get by without having to tin anything. Sometimes it gets to a point where I say, okay, the skin color's where I want it. I don't want it to get any darker, and then I put my foil over it. But for right now, it's where we like it to be, so it's going to keep on riding without any foil over it. So we're just going to get some cooking oil on it so that it maintains that crispy skin, and we'll show you what we mean. Alright, so now all we're going to do is we're going to hit our turkey with a little bit of pan cooking spray. And what that's going to do is that's going to give us some cooking oil on the skin to keep it nice and crispy. It's going to give us a good bite through. It's not going to be gummy. It's also going to help us protect that color that we've worked so hard to make. Our turkey is coming along very nicely. It's a good golden brown color. We are not ready to tin it yet. Maybe later on we will go ahead and put a tent over it and keep the temperature in. But for right now, let's go ahead and get a layer of cooking spray on it. So all we're going to want to do is just lightly hit over top of all the skin that we can see. And I can spin this pan around a little bit here and hit the back sides of the turkey. That's another great thing about having this in a pan. I can move the pan around very simple, move the turkey around and manipulate it the way I need to. So that's pretty well it. We're just going to keep watching our temperatures, keep coating it with some cooking spray, and if it does get to the color we like it to stay at, and we don't want it to, or we do need to get it a little bit higher in temperature, we'll go ahead and put our foil on then. But until then, we'll see you back whenever we go to pull it off the grill. Welcome back. As you can see, we have our turkey off the grill, and it is ready to be sliced up. The color turned out amazing on it. It's just that nice dark golden brown color. We did not actually end up having to put any foil tin over top of it. I felt that the color looked good right up until the last little bit, so I just let it ride out without tinting any foil over top of it. This turkey ended up taking right at 5 hours stuffed, and like I said, this is an 18-pound bird, so that's right about where it should be. If you're somewhere in the neighborhood of like a 14 to 16 pound, you're going to be probably closer to the 4 hour mark. So if you're trying to get something that's a little bit quicker and you don't have to have an enormous bird, that's going to be a little bit easier and a little bit more efficient. So we're going to get this sliced up and let you see how it looks like on the inside. Alright, let's start getting this bird torn apart. So first off, let's see if we can get one of these legs off here, and you can hear how crispy that skin is. And we're just going to tear that leg up, and it comes right apart. And you can see how tender and juicy that is. We can pull the whole leg and thigh right off of that, and it is just dripping with juices. So let's get a couple slices of breast meat here. As you can see, doing a turkey on a smoker, there's no such thing as dry white meat. That meat is just about as juicy and tender as you can get. Let's get a little taste test here. What an amazing flavor it has. we mostly get a little bit of that background of our brine. So you can get a little bit of citrus flavor in it, but nothing overbearing. It just gives it a little bit of a background rather than just a plain meat flavor. Because we did not inject this, we just did a brine. Now, like I said, you could do an injection on this bird if you'd rather. We prefer to do a brine because you get it all the way through all the meat, and you get a product that's super tender and super juicy. So we feel that gives us the best product at the end, and as you can see, it worked out magnificent. So if you're thinking about doing a turkey for Thanksgiving, try it on a pellet smoker. You can't go wrong. Alright everyone, just to recap a little bit on what we've done. We've taken our 18-pound turkey, thawed it out, we put it in a brine for 24 hours. And that brine, like we said, is mainly consisted of our apple cider, our salt, our brown sugar, some herbs, a little bit of honey. We packed the cavity full of oranges and we put it in our bucket, filled the rest of it up with water, put it in the refrigerator overnight. The next day we got it out, we did a nice season on it with a little bit of cooking spray, and then we packed our stuffing in. Now our stuffing was a twist on Malcolm Reed's recipe, using some country sausage, Granny Smith apples, white onion, celery, and of course your breadcrumbs. It turned out fantastic. We put it on the smoker at 300 degrees and we let it go for 4.5 hours at 300 degrees, going out about every 30 to 40 minutes, double checking our temperature probes were correct, and spraying it with some more cooking oil to keep the skin crisp and colored. At about the last half-hour mark, we did bump it up to 350 degrees just to get that skin extra crispy, and it worked really well. The color turned out fantastic, and the meat, as you saw, was plenty juicy, and it is tender as can be, and it has so much flavor background to it that it's just out of this world. It's unlike any other turkey you've ever had for Thanksgiving or any holidays. So, I hope you enjoyed our video on how to smoke your Thanksgiving turkey. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe now. Give us a thumbs up. And if you have any comments or questions, drop them down below. We'll see you guys next time.